Welcome to Commercial Real Estate Pro Network's CRE PN Radio. Thanks for joining us. My name is J. Darren Gross. This is the podcast focused on commercial real estate investment and risk management strategies. Weekly, we have conversations with commercial real estate investors and professionals who provide their experience and insight to help you grow your real estate portfolio. Today's program is sponsored by Building Insurance and Risk. Don't put your real estate investment at risk. Work with Building Insurance and Risk and receive multiple coverage offers with a side-by-side coverage comparison. To learn more, go to buildinginsurancerisk.com. Today, my guest is Charles Chandler. Charles is the co-founder and COO of My Tennessee Home Solution, a real estate solution company composed of veterans dedicated to hard work and service in the civilian world, just as they were during their time in service to their country. Currently transitioning out of the military, Charles looks to help others use their God-given gifts and talent to help themselves and others. And in just a minute, we're going to speak with Charles about building a team and investing in real estate. But first, a quick reminder. If you like our show, CRE PN Radio, there are a couple things you can do to help us out. You can like, share, and subscribe. And as always, we encourage you to leave a comment. We love to hear from our listeners. Also, if you want to see how handsome our guests are, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. You can find us on YouTube at Commercial Real Estate Pro Network. And while you're there, please subscribe. With that, I want to welcome my guest, Charles Chandler. Welcome to CRE PN Radio.
And thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. Looking forward to it.
Well, I'm looking forward to our conversation. Before we get started, if you could take just a minute and share with the listeners a little about your background.
Yeah, so I'm Charles Chandler, originally from Alabama. Went to school up in New York and then found my way back to the South. Entered the military, commissioned as an infantry officer in 2017 from West Point. And then my first duty station was at Fort Campbell, where I was able to reconnect with some of my classmates from school, in which we decided to kind of pivot the current glide path of doing a career in the military, instead starting a real estate investing company, My Tennessee Home Solution. And so that's kind of where it got us where we are today. It was about 2 years ago is when we really broke ground on everything. And then now from the single family side, we're transitioning a lot into the multifamily space. So a lot of us are almost out right now. And so we're just looking forward to reconnecting, getting everybody back in the Nashville area and keep getting after it.
Awesome. Well, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for your service.
Thank you.
It's an incredible commitment you guys make, and very much appreciated. And speaking about your military background, you mentioned you said infantry was the division you were in, or did I hear that right?
Yeah, so we chose myself and my partner Jordan. We both commissioned as infantry officers.
Okay. How has the military training you received helped you with your real estate investing career?
A ton. There's a lot that's really is transferable. I think that the majority of it just comes to just relationship building, learning how to communicate well with people, and really just being able to have a lot of trust, especially. The first and foremost is really kind of going through that breakdown process of your previous background of wherever you grew up or your hometown friends or anything that kind of might have potentially been a bad influence, and going through the different trainings and environments and everything just kind of really molds you into a person that not only the military wants you to be, but the military understands that there's an exit from the military later in life, and they want individuals to continue to be contributing to society. And so I think a lot of initial core values that we have as a company stem from a lot of the stuff that we've gone through and experienced, and having a shared background definitely helps, not only internally building our team, but then also kind of what we want to project out to others, and what others are sense and feel, and like have a sense of gratitude overall about doing what we're doing right now.
Got it. So in your role as an officer in the infantry, um, can you describe kind of what a day or kind of a your level, and then what your role was as far as working with others? Was it were you kind of were you receiving orders and then distributing those, or were you the one that came up with ways to accomplish the goal, or what was your role in that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I had a pretty interesting experience overall. I was very blessed to just be able to went overseas, served in Syria. I actually took my platoon. It was a roughly 30 individuals um, during the first month of that tour, and there was a lot of autonomy from my one above, my boss, which the military does a good job of, and is really trying to get better at, which is mission command. Which really it just comes down to saying what your intent is and what the end state of something is, and then allowing that subordinate leader, which in that case I was the subordinate leader, to then execute as I saw fit. As long as the intent was there, I stayed within that left and right limit boundary, and then I met the end state, which that my commander, my boss, laid out for me. That kind of theme is kind of how we communicate internally as well. We like to let people have that creativity and whatnot to get the mission done and get the job done, but just providing the overall intent, and then that allows people to make mistakes in which you can go back and then look at it and refine it and provide feedback, and that constant loop is kind of what occurred overseas, back here in the U.S. Training, and again that has been very transferable over on the business side as well.
Yeah, so let's talk about that on the business side with the real estate. You said, or at least I read that you're the COO, correct?
Yes.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
And then who were the people on your team? How big is your team, and what are the different roles, and how do you guys work between, or how's work get done between the different roles and the different people?
Yeah. So there's 7 of us right now. Myself at the COO role, just kind of more in the day to day, providing check-ins, or really just making sure operations and processes are going smoothly, and able to put out fires as needed, and doing a lot of networking and whatnot with different vendors and investors that we work with. We have our CEO, Jordan, business partner. He does a lot of the growth, really streamlines a lot of our push over to commercial multifamily as well. And then there's Briar, who's our chief investment officer. He kind of heads our dispositions as well, and investor relations overall. And then we have an acquisition side. It's a 2-man team, and then our project manager, who really oversees a lot of our flip projects, as well as property management and whatnot. And then we do have a creative director, which is essentially our in-house real estate agent, who also helps kind of make the designs with everything, and then list the properties for us and whatnot. So a few of us definitely wear multiple hats. We got with every role that we need. This definitely has someone assigned to it. Sometimes you'll see the same name in 2 different positions, but for the most part, we each know our lane pretty well, and the communication's pretty streamlined, which helps. Again, just having a smaller, leaner team, able to do that a little bit more efficiently.
And are all of the members ex-military or current military?
Six out of the 7 are. The in-house agent is actually my wife, and so having that in-house has been like a huge asset overall, and I really appreciate working with her and everything she's able to put up with. But so she's just the spouse of one of the military ones.
Got it. Got it. So having that kind of language and experience, I would think, would be uh, very helpful, if not, just critical to your guys' success as far as your level of communication and expectation, and that. Do you find it kind of almost like a shorthand for your ability to communicate and get things done?
Yeah, definitely. We the good thing about being in the position we are now is that we've seen a lot of good and bad styles of leadership, good and bad styles of communication, being at different places as well, having a breadth of exposure has definitely helped. And so now, I think, again, being a leaner, smaller team, but then also having a collective shared experience being in the military, we're able to really adjust and refine to things that fit our style and fit kind of the market shifting as it is right now and whatnot, and being able to be flexible and pliable enough to um, pretty easily make adjustments as needed, and especially giving feedback to each other, which is huge. Everyone's got pretty decent thick skin. We're able to communicate effectively, talk through any issues. Very good on our cadence of accountability is what we kind of call it. And so that has definitely been a huge sustain that we've experienced so far.
Got it. So, can you describe some of the challenges or issues you face transitioning from military into full-time real estate?
Yeah, definitely. We go through right now. Kind of being somewhat virtual in a sense with some of us. We do have our office in East Nashville, um, which kind of serves at that as that hub, right, for everyone. But a couple of us are still in those final months right now, and so being virtual at times and relying, you can't have a long distance relationship work if you're only texting. So we have to get on the phone, we have to get on Zoom, we have to get FaceTime or whatever, and really use different forms of communication effectively. Um, and so inherently there at times that there will be issues with that, either in delay of communication or misinterpretation of text messages or emails or urgency of different things. And so um, I think those are common to a lot of teams, but I think that we're able to really um, make it an effort and a point, one, to do to do evals with each other, or what we call kind of alignment huddles with each other every month, and just making sure that we're staying on the same page. And the big thing too, we do quarterly retreats every quarter. That way, just everyone's together, able to talk, go to dinner, have a good kind of unplugged time. All those kind of very essential team building aspects really kind of mitigate any possible issues that we might have just when we go through, at a quarter's length of time, being virtual in a sense.
No, it's good to have some sort of regular in face in or in person
Right.
opportunity to meet like that. Um, was there any thought given, or was it just more a matter of everybody had kind of mutual interests and uh, wanted to do real estate as to who joined your group, or was there? Um, can you describe how you came together as far as were there roles that needed to be fulfilled, or was it just more of a conversation of mutual interest, or how did you guys identify each other and come together for real estate investing?
Yeah, that our guidebook, if able to see on the screen, I'm just pulling up the book, Who Not How. Um, Excellent book by Dan Sullivan. Jordan and I, actually, when I had mentioned earlier about reconnecting with a classmate, um, he was kind of a lone wolf, kind of solopreneur, if you will, doing real estate on the side while still in the military. And we struck up a conversation, and it really interested me about what he was doing, the revenue he was bringing in, and clearly had an out from the military that would provide more time and flexibility and just peace of mind overall. And so he and I definitely had a very strong shared vision of that, of what we wanted in life. And so my persistent questioning and communication with him kind of developed into us doing a single deal together, in which we partnered on, which I do strongly recommend if you have partners to definitely just do a deal together to really see and flesh things out. And so the value I brought was really just the work ethic and the deal itself, like working to find a good margin deal and whatnot. And so what that turned into was Briar also joining our team as someone, again, very, very smart, super not only witty, but just very able to communicate with people and understand immediately, what it is that they want, and then be able to frame conversations around how we can get them what it is that they're looking for. And he's a perfect fit on the investor relation and our disposition side. So the three of us, my wife had been an agent before and decided to actually stop her grad school for being to become a teacher, and she actually came to do this full time. She saw the kind of the team that we were building and whatnot, and so she decided, I love real estate. I love designing things, and so that was a great fit to kind of initially work on those flips that we were doing and rehabs, and then that was kind of the core team there for a while. Us four. Um, uh, and again, we went through a series of personality tests, the DISC, Clifton Strengths, Colby A. There's a lot of great resources out there, and so we went through it all. We to better understand how do we each communicate. And on the poster behind me, we even have all of our DISC profiles kind of outlined under the name, so you just kind of know what to expect from who. And Jordan's a dynamo, so if you don't know what a dynamo is, man, he gets results, he achieves. And so it's just been great to really understand at deeper levels through that. And so next really came the need for, kind of growing and more lead flow, looking to generate continuous revenue. And so I had who is now our sales director, Spencer, approach me, and I knew him from school as well. And so I guess just having that internal network of just knowing people, having references and whatnot. He's the perfect fit to talk to somebody on the phone. He makes everyone feel extremely warm, secure, comforted. He could talk all 24 hours a day and not even think about blinking an eye. And so he's an overall great fit. And then from there, we led into on our project management side with Nick, who again, one of the most loyal, hardest working, very just results oriented as well. And then our final, most recent hire that we just had to assist Spencer was Jay, who again, within the personal network, referral based, and then going through a series of, in our hiring process, again, we really rely on the who, not how kind of sentiment there, and already have the person that we're looking for kind of built out. And then we take them through a series of different style interviews, different scenario-based situations and whatnot, to really see if, do you even believe in our core values and mission statement? Are you a good culture fit? How are you on when you cold call on the phone, just to see how they respond and reply? And then a lot of different situation-based questions just to better understand outside of any kind of cookie cutter interview questions. And so I really think going deep on the understanding personalities has led us to, again, where we have a strong, lean team that does have multiple hats, but we communicate really well. We get along really well. We've had a lot of really good team retreats that has just continued to push us into some strong momentum, especially into this year, despite any, fears of housing crashing or anything like that. We just we're full steam ahead, and we're getting after it, and we're loving it.
No, that's great. Appreciate you kind of walking us through your different team members there. Now, just to be clear, it sounds like, did you guys start off flipping single families? Was that the starting?
Yes. So that's what was essentially like the cash generator, if you will. Doing some wholesaling whenever we had too many projects at once and needed just again to maintain the consistency of cash flow. Rehab and flipping houses, and then from that we knew the intent from the start was definitely to get into multifamily, but we needed a bit of a track record, some credibility, a strong team, build out some processes and whatnot, and then overall just have cash flow and have a strong balance sheet. And so we, from that, myself, Jordan, and Breyer are able to almost kind of remove ourselves from the day-to-day single family operations. We have a great pulse on it. We understand where we need to fit in to help and assist, but we are more so spearheading what our multifamily efforts. And so in February 20 of this year, we closed on our first syndication. And so now we're looking to essentially repeat the process, now that we are essentially just writing out our entire kind of WACOR process on the multifamily side. So that's what the product that you're seeing now is the differentiating single family and then multifamily entities, but still a lot of the same faces.
Got it. And do you still continue to do the single family flips for like cash flow, or are you 100% to the multifamily side?
Yeah, we're actually doing 5 flip projects right now,
Okay.
and it's a huge reason for that too is because it does have a very positive impact on the local community, the Middle Tennessee and Nashville, greater Nashville area. We're able to help a lot of people out. Our biggest thing is just trying to make a difference. That's one of our core values. That's a big thing that we just want to be able to do. If it's donating to local charities each quarter, to helping other veteran homeowners out, helping people relocate. And we stay within that affordable housing price point as well, because we know what the demand and what the need is. There's plenty of institutional buyers in the area, which they serve their purposes for who they answer to, but we try to keep who we're selling to, families, people moving to. The influx of individuals, especially the Middle Tennessee, is just growing rapidly. The influx of businesses coming to Middle Tennessee again is growing rapidly, and so the demand is going to stay there. The supply is very simple, still very low, and general inventory days on market is still generally single digit across Middle Tennessee, kind of very slightly county to county, but that will definitely be essentially our bread and butter. And then we will continue to gain units and assets under management on the multifamily side, which the big benefit for that is essentially our retirement plan.
Yeah, no, amen to that. Tell me a little bit about your first syndication.
What a story. Yeah, the way we were able to get that was it is in Tennessee as well, which is nice. It's in Chattanooga, so just a couple hours drive away, and with a lot of us already in the South, that was a huge benefit. And it was being run very poorly. The individual that was managing and individual that owned were in a partnership that went south very quickly, and so they were essentially a motivated seller. There were multiple buyers for it, and their financing kept falling through because one side was being ran essentially as a short-term rental Airbnb, and while the other side was weekly rentals, and they were very dilapidated, very poor condition. But honestly, surprised many of them lived in that state of housing, and so we were fortunate to have some very good relations with the broker, which is another one of our key acquisition kind of frameworks on the multifamily side, is just, again, building those relationships, understanding people, trying to bring value. And so that's what happened with the broker. And she just let us know that if we were able to get financing in line, then that we'll definitely be able to close. And so we came in as a backup offer. We were able to get financing lined up, and really the way this was able to work was that we came up with a creative business plan that showed that we were able to stabilize a 32 unit asset that was essentially needing a complete full gut remodel. And so we were able to raise 1.3 million within primarily the West Point network. Again, going back to the military roots and all that trust and everything in the values that we grew up in, which inherently, when this deal came and we pitch it to potential investors, it was the automatic, just, yep, I've seen what you've done on the single family side. We know who you are, your background, like, trust you. And so we were able to get that deal closed out. And so right now we're finishing up the majority of the rehab. And again, it's 32 units. We essentially turned it into a boutique hotel that we're running with an average daily rate of about $110 a night. the pro forma for it, we were thinking maybe 90 a night, and we underwrote it at a 6% rate, but we were able to lock in a 3.95. And so um, it was overall it's becoming a great asset for us. And so um, a lot more due diligence is probably the biggest learning point. Um, so that's just where we're in right now.
I'm curious. I hear a lot about the hotel motel space becoming kind of an opportunity.
Yeah.
Um, was your intent always to operate it as more of a like a hotel, or was it to be like a long-term rental?
Yeah, so we did some analysis with on the short-term rental side, and the individual that is running the property management for it specializes in short-term rental, um, and he's local to the area as well, has a great track record. And then we did AirDNA had a lot of great statistics as well, and Chattanooga actually came in at number 3 in the U.S. for top short-term rental vacation destinations. Um, and because we were able to see the financials on 15 of those 32 units that were being run as a short-term rental, we saw that is where the potential was to actually operate it as such. And so we did get it rezoned, which was again another huge value add. So now when we do go to exit this property, it'll already be rezoned. It's been rebranded, and now it'll be completely renovated with a lot of amenities as well that kind of make it more of a desirable location rather than a kind of honestly kind of a dump.
Sure. No, I've talked to the few different investors here lately, and I think that's kind of a space that's people are looking towards based on another guy I talked with. It's really hard to build a hotel that's less than 100 units anymore based on just the cost. So there's a lot of like legacy properties and places that there's not likely to see a lot of investment that can be bought and renovated and rebranded and operated profitably based on a lot of the short-term rental marketing platforms and all that. So that's great. Um, no, that's awesome. Are you looking in that space for additional properties, or are you, um, or is it more of the like the traditional long-term multifamily?
Yeah, I agree with you. We definitely see a void there to where we can step into the boutique motel hotel space, and really kind of make that our niche thing that we're able to become eventually at a mastery level at. And so where people aren't is where we want to be. That's obviously that's very common. And so that moving forward, yes, that's a model that now that we are stabilizing and seeing the fruits of our labor start to come out, yes, that's definitely kind of a way forward. Not to say that we wouldn't do a value add for a B minus or a C property of a long term rental, absolutely. But we do know that this current model definitely has a lot more meat on the bone.
And with that, again, compared to like a traditional long-term rental, the operations are, I don't know if they're more intense or they're just more day to day with the turnovers kind of thing, which is kind of the business model. Um, any challenges with the operations of the business within the hotel model, or is that any issues there that you had to overcome or that presented themselves?
Yeah, so we kind of talking back again about the individual that's now the operator for it. Really strong and great strategy that I would recommend for those getting into this space as well is not only was he more so local to the area and knew types of finishes and whatnot, but we only put up 1 to 2 units at a time and let those go for about a week to 2 weeks. And that really allowed for those on ground to get into that routine, that rhythm, and then let guests even in their reviews or comments or really try to get some initial surveys of what do you like, what do you think was missing, and then get slowly open up units prior and not just letting them all come online at once. Because I guess the initial thought is, oh, we got to get them up operational as fast as possible, drive revenue fast as possible, but then you risk um, losing revenue because you're having to make multiple changes across them all instead of just very piecemeal, slowly bringing them online and then making the adjustments um, as people are booking and using them. So that we haven't seen those issues yet because we've been able to keep them internal and not have to experience with a guest or unfortunately or potentially get a bad review or whatnot. So we kept it internal.
No, that's a good management strategy there to kind of be able to react, um,
Yeah,
more quickly to any kind of needs and correct rather than have some big tidal wave of complaints or negative
yeah.
ratings or whatever that would tank the experience there. So with your kind of go forward look on things, looking for additional properties similar to this, what is your strategy for finding the next investment opportunity?
Yeah, the biggest thing that we know that we can do and that we can leverage is definitely our ability to make build and make relationships. Uh, Talking with current owners of properties that potentially look somewhat run down. We are staying in that more mid-sized unit number to where there's somewhat less competition. Um, and then still staying on LoopNet as well and trying to see what we're seeing that's going in and out of contract, kind of how this one was. Um, and then using this as like that platform essentially of credibility. And that is what's going to help stay in that boutique motel hotel space as accomplish one here, looking to replicate similar business plan in this location. Definitely trying to stay in locations that are clearly seeing the year over year growth increase and things like that. So our underwriting is something that's evolving right now just based on what we're seeing with this current asset. But broker relations, that is what we see as kind of number one, and then number two being the value add potential if something needs to get rezoned, or if there's a property that's just being clearly mismanaged or managed improperly, which easy to see based on reviews and looking at stuff like that. So the information is definitely there. It's just the hours now to kind of comb through that.
Panning for gold, huh?
Yeah.
So on the motel kind of space, the asset financing, were you able to, or did you use a local bank, or what was your financing? What did it look like?
Yeah, initially we were trying to kind of go at it ourselves before using a broker. Um, Kind of the big roadblock that we were hitting, I think it was our terminology. We were essentially saying short-term rental complex, which kind of put some fear in some lenders, and so just changing the word into boutique hotel softened the blow. um, and so we did get we used Capstar, um, great lender. When we initially sent in, or we're about to receive term sheets, we were saying in our pro forma, one lesson learned was that yes, we underwrote at potentially getting a 6% interest rate. And so a couple term sheets we got, they just put it up. They were going to give us a 5.5. Seeing now that they're kind of playing our hand a bit, but we did get with Capstar locked in at 3.95. It's on a 5-year arm, 25-year amortized. So initially it was 20, and so we were able to kind of go back and forth and talk them into going to a 25. Which honestly was a great learning point about if we want your business, we want to work together. This is just where we need to be at, in maintaining kind of the negotiation essentially all throughout, and not really just accepting first term sheet that we saw. So having some patience there, which again, kind of these themes of what we kind of experience and go through in the military. That's a tactical patience is what we call it. And waiting until we really kind of see what it is that we're looking for, and that's going to be favorable not only for us but more so for our investors. And so that, knowing that we had a big value add or rehab project coming up, we definitely needed as much margin and security on the financing as possible.
No, it's awesome. So the current property, is it running full tilt now? Are you all fully operational?
Half of it is. So we got 15 of those 32 units that are up running right now. Because it is technically on two parcels, but we were able to rezone and get everything rebranded into, when we do go to exit, it'll sell as one. And so one side essentially is good to go, while the other is going through a full gut total makeover, total rehab on it. Um, lot of issues with the septic and everything, and so really just putting all new systems in. Again, huge rehab project, but we have a great contracting team that their office is just a mile up the road, thankfully. So that was, they have to see it every day, essentially going to work. Um, so halfway there.
And as far as the capital for the capital improvements, was that part of your raise, or were you able to include that in financing, or are you doing it out of cash flow? How are you paying for the improvements?
Yeah, so that was initially all through the initial raise with limited partners, but was for the down payment and then also for the capital, the capex. What we came across though is that because we're able to raise the daily rate based on the finishes that we have in those first 15, and then we also installed some really nice high-end amenities outside, gazebo, grills, like more of a park aesthetic in a sense. That's also kind of helping connect the two properties. So we actually needed to do a capital infusion, and we went back to our lender because we had the property essentially at a 60 to 65% loan to value, and so that we had a ton of margin. We weren't necessarily over leveraged, and so that's what we just recently were able to get additional financing from them to help finish out the remaining 17 units. That the overhaul for that was way more than what we initially thought, especially the septic, essentially just installing a whole brand new system for it, and then completely redoing all the wiring, plumbing. Again, you never know exactly how bad it is until you pull everything back, and it probably couldn't have been as worse as what you can imagine. Just a step up from a tear down, really. The bones are good, but that's about it. I'd also say the reason for that is there's even more potential to actually build on the land to create additional units, which is something that once we see it at a full stabilization, we'll kind of talk through that, and also talk with with mentors and whatnot. But it's on a decent amount of acreage, and so there's additional buildable land, which just overall increases the value for it, and see if when we exit, if a new buyer has that interest and whatnot.
No, it sounds exciting. It's always nice to have options and
Yeah.
for growth and plus, I mean, just you mentioned the financing, how you underwrote it for a higher interest rate than what you were able to get. Your revenue is exceeding what your projections were. So, I mean,
Yeah.
those are two good numbers, and I'm sure they're going to help you be successful for quite a while there. That's good. Hey, Charles, if we could, I'd like to shift gears here for a second. By day, I'm an insurance broker, and I work with my clients to assess risk and determine what to do with the risk. And there's three strategies that we typically look to see if we can, solve the risk. The first is we look to see if we can avoid the risk, and when we cannot avoid it, we look to see if there's a way we can minimize the risk. And when avoiding or minimizing is an option, we look to see if there's a way we can transfer the risk. And that's what an insurance policy is. It's a risk transfer vehicle. And as such, I like to ask my guests if they can look at their own situation. It could be their clients, investors, tenants, the market, interest rates, political, however you choose to frame the question, what is the biggest risk? And again, for clarification, while I am an insurance agent, I'm not necessarily looking for an insurance related answer. And so if you're willing, I'd like to ask you, Charles Chandler, what is the biggest risk?
As an officer, risk mitigation, risk management is a daily thing that gets communicated, because we have risk at certain levels that we can mitigate and whatnot. So definitely appreciate that question, because it just ties into multiple things that I'm involved in. And so for us and our team, really the biggest risk that we've experienced on, and I can say this probably for both single family and multifamily, has been not contacting the correct people. And I more so meaning on the multifamily side, um, getting into build plan architects, code, permitting, um, all kind of different departments that we didn't even know existed um, at all. And then on the single family side, somewhat the same as far as zonings, what can or can't be done to certain houses. And again, that's just being more so internally kind of putting blinders on, thinking that us individually, we have to solve this and figure this out, and not, that might be inherent as well, kind of as a weakness on the military side, more type A, strong-willed, I'll get this done kind of thing, and not realizing that there are so many outside resources that are postured to really take down a lot of those potential obstacles that you're going to face. And so on the multifamily side, that's been a continuous learning experience, especially right now with who it is that we need to talk with. And so biggest risk was kind of tied to not only taking a ton of massive action, which is great, but almost too quickly, and not realizing who is it that we need to talk to, who's out there, who's available, who's a resource, or at least pausing just to even think of that question. And so that is the biggest risk for us, because that could potentially lead to where you're at a point of potentially no return, or there's going to take even more cost to potentially fix or mitigate something that has happened. So thankfully we're not there. We didn't reach that that point, but we definitely saw that as a big learning lesson in internal conversations as far as risk.
No, those are points I know I've learned multiple times, is assume nothing, uh, and make sure I have clear understanding of whatever it is that somebody's telling me, because otherwise,
Yeah.
I've got myself to thinking one thing only to find out that I was the one that didn't understand. So
Yeah.
good, good point there. Hey, Charles, where can the listeners go if they'd like to learn more or connect with you?
Yeah, definitely. LinkedIn would be a great spot. Just Charles Chandler, and you see the My Tennessee Home Solution banner there. Another great spot would just be on our website, www.mytennesseehomesolution.com. You'd see myself, my contact information there. And then I'm pretty active on Instagram. My nickname is Trey, so I just go with underscore Trey Chandler underscore. So fairly easy again to find me on that. But yeah, we're looking to do another deal soon. We'd love to talk with people, just seeing how we can provide value, and especially anyone that's coming to the Middle Tennessee area looking for any potential deals. We have them.
Awesome. Charles, I can't say thanks enough for taking the time to talk today. I've enjoyed it, learned a lot, and I look forward to doing it again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
All right. For our listeners, if you like this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, the more you know, the more you grow. That's all we've got this week. Until next time, thanks for listening to Commercial Real Estate Pro Network's CREPN Radio.